Hi, and welcome to Hanging with Becky. I'm Becky Deanna, and every week I hang out with one of my amazing friends to talk about the latest movie release. Then comes the really fun part. I create a custom Becky challenge to test just how well they know something they're passionate about. I spent more than 25 years as a movie studio marketing executive and a lifetime as a film fanatic. This show is all about celebrating the movies playing in theaters and introducing you to some of the incredible people I'm lucky enough to call my friends, one conversation at a time. This week, we're talking Evil Dead Burn, and I truly couldn't imagine a better guest than filmmaker, writer, podcaster, and one of my favorite people in the movie community, Julia Marchese. Long before Julia and I became friends, I was a fan of hers. We first met at my favorite movie theater, the New Beverly, where she worked for many years. Over time, someone I admired became one of my closest friends. When Julia launched the Kickstarter for her wonderful documentary Out of Print, I proudly supported it because I believed so deeply in what she was creating. It went on to become one of my favorite films of the year. And now, 10 years later, it's returning to theaters around the world with a special anniversary theatrical re-release, a testament to just how beloved it has become. Julia is also the co-host of my favorite horror podcast, Horror Movie Survival Guide, where I was lucky enough to guest last year to celebrate Presence. She also generously gave me a platform to talk about my own podcasting journey, and I've never forgotten that kindness. Julia and I actually saw Evil Dead Burn together last night, and so today you're getting our immediate reactions. We didn't talk too much about the movie when we walked out of the theater last night because we wanted to save it all here for the podcast. So you'll hear how it goes. I'm so lucky to have Julia. She's so incredible. And then just so you know, I am wearing, I'll pull the camera down for you, Visit the Overlook Hotel shirt because Julia is a massive Stephen King fanatic. So we're going to quiz her on some Stephen King trivia later today. All right, now here we have Julia Marchese. Hi, Julia. Welcome to Hanging with Becky.
Thank you so much for having me and for saying such kind things.
Oh my gosh, of course. You're probably so sick of this, but like anytime I am with Julia and she's at my birthday party or I end up introducing her to some friend of mine, and now I'm introducing you to the world of, my podcast, is I'm always like, oh my God, I was Julia. I was such a huge fan of Julia's before I became a friend. And she's probably like, okay, we don't need the story. But it's true. It's like a dream come true because I just admired you so much. And I still pinch myself that we're friends.
We are friends. I can confirm such things. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's funny because, and I think you'll see this doing a podcast. There's a bit of podcasting in I'm putting this out in the world and I have no idea where it's going. Right? Yeah. It's just kind of out into the ether. So, and they make it very hard for you to get all of your numbers from all of your, it's a whole thing. So when somebody is like, oh, recognizes me from it, either from my voice or my face, I'm like, oh, you listen. That's great. Like I don't, unless somebody says, hey, I like your podcast, I don't really know if you listen or not. So it's always pleasant to get feedback but I'm talking horror movies with Terry, which is like the best thing in the whole world, right? I'll do that regardless if people are listening or not. And we talk a lot, exactly the same as we talk on the show about many, many things. So
I love it. And I actually became your friend just by, following you on just your social footprint. And then before you even started your podcast, and then I became obsessed with your podcast, Horror Movie Survival Guide, and I listen religiously. And actually it's become, I don't know if it's 5 or 6 years now, but it's become a tradition where, and I always tweet about it, that I listen to your podcast on Halloween. And so whatever the latest episode is, it's just a tradition that I start Halloween morning listening to your latest episode.
That means so much to me. I'm a Halloween girl. It is my favorite day of the year. I get so excited. Yeah, I always have to start off my morning right too. So I really, that means a lot to me. Thank you very much.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And then also Julia, I mentioned in the intro that she directed this extraordinary documentary Out of Print, which I going to see, and I actually just bought my tickets last night to see that in Gardenia Cinema. It's going to be playing in a few weeks in LA, and I'm going to go see that. So if you check out if you're in LA, go check that out because it's amazing. I've actually don't think I've ever seen it on the big screen, so I'm super
It's going to be
excited
great.
about that.
Yeah, it's at the Gardena Cinema on the 31st, and then it's at the Frida Cinema on the 11th of August. So it's
amazing.
two really cool, a little bit SoCal places.
Yeah, and I'm like, maybe I'll go see it at the Frida Cinema too because I've actually never been to that cinema, and I've heard it's pretty cool.
It's great. Both of them have incredible programming.
Yeah, and then actually my friend just sent me like randomly on his feed, he got like a fed an Instagram like thing about Frida Cinema, about Gardena Cinema, about how amazing that cinema is, and someone did a whole little video on it, and I'm like, oh my God, that's where we're going in a few weeks. But yeah, so you also are massive Stephen King fan, and so we will explore a lot of that later with the trivia.
Awesome.
But beyond Julia directing Out of Print, she also directed a short film that had to do with one of Stephen King's short stories. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I got to, we're really lucky to get to do one of his Dollar Baby films. So if you don't know this program, he ran from the like really early 80s all the way through 2024, where you could buy the rights to certain short stories of his for $1 for 1 year. And then you could basically do kind of whatever you wanted with it, with the story wise. Like you didn't have to adhere to any creative rules, but you did have to know that at the end of the day, he'll be seeing it because that's part of the contract as well. So there's the insane pressure of knowing whatever you're making, Stephen King is going to see at the end of the day, which is bonkers. As somebody who grew up since I was 11, like it's been a really deep love of mine. So I was so lucky I got to do my favorite short story, I Know What You Need, which is from Night Shift, and it's was first published in 1976. So I set my short story in 1976, and we got to shoot at the University of Maine campus where the story is set. So we got to shoot in the actual library he talks about and the dorms he talks about. I got to sleep in his dorm room. It's like the most constant reader nerd dream of all time. So the idea was to make it as kind of like a 70s after school special meets Brian De Palma, and it did really well, and I'm really proud of it. It's 45 minutes, which is a long short, but get into it because it's the only time I'm ever going to get the chance to make that movie probably. So I'm going to like take every ounce of time you give me. So Stephen King actually made a really nice exception for it to be on Arrow's streaming platform, so you can watch it there. And then also, if you wanted to see it, you can also DM me, and I can send you a link.
Oh my gosh!
But contractually, not allowed to be out in public everywhere.
It's amazing, and I think it was 2 years ago where it was at the Comic-Con Film Festival.
It played at San Diego Comic-Con, and that was actually really nice. I was a little bit nervous, like technically how it was going to be because you're at a convention center, but it was great because it showed in a really big room, so there was this really nice echo that just kind of made everything more powerful, and I was like, oh, pretty nice. Pretty nice indeed.
I've never seen I've never been to the Comic-Con Short Festival, and I've been, this year will be my 20th Comic-Con, and so it played the day that I was in the Hall H line all day on Friday, where I was essentially in line with a bunch of Star Trek fans to get into Hall H the next day for Star Trek, but we go in shifts, so I made sure that my shift wasn't going to overlap with Julia's showing, so I finished my shift, ran over, saw Julia's movie, and I hadn't seen it at that point, and it was so wonderful. And I remember asked a question because Julia does a cameo, very much like, Hitchcock and Bergman do cameos. So I thought it was so cool. I'm like, that was you, right? And she said, yeah. But it's so good. It was really, really good. And it was so exciting to see it at Comic-Con, and just to, I don't know, it's always exciting when your friends make projects, but it's even more amazing when they're like extraordinary projects. And like Out of Print, I love so much, it was on my top 10 list the year it came out. And if you go to beckydeanna.com, my website, I think it's a 2014 top 10 list, you could see. And actually my top 10 list that year was published. Cineworld published my top 10 list in the UK, and so she was in the Cineworld magazine. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. But
I will say for filmmakers as well, if you want to send your stuff to the San Diego Comic-Con Film Festival, it is a free entry.
Oh, that's
which is very unusual because everybody charges a good amount of money. So if you have a short film that has anything to do with Comic-Con stuff in any way, because Stephen King is more books, not comics, but you're like, it's okay, we're in the pop culture world.
But a genre, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Comic-Con is so different now. It started off just comics, and it spread into movies and TV and film and all sorts of genre, and like anything you are obsessed with, there's some corner of Comic-Con that celebrates it. And I always talk about how much I love Comic-Con because it's San Diego, because I feel like I'm around my people, and more I get to see friends are on panels, and I get to be on panels, and it's just a celebration of really, if you have any fandom, people will accept that and embrace it, and they get it because they all have their own unique fandom. And if even if your fandom is the most obscure thing in the world, there's somebody at Comic-Con who's just as in love with it as you are. Oh my gosh, let's talk about what you're drinking.
This is Moxie. Moxie is a very niche drink. It is the drink of Maine. It is the soda that Maine is known for. It is called distinctively different is their motto. It says it is original elixir. It's known for being quite medicinal. The idea behind it is that you're supposed to, on the first sip, it'll punch you in the mouth and you'll be like, oh my God. But then you're supposed to drink a whole bottle or can, and then it mellows out over time. It becomes very pleasant. So when I was because Stephen King writes about all of these like drinks and snacks, and I've been reading about them since I was a kid. So like at some point I was like, oh my God, a fucking Moxie. And when I was doing my Stephen King short, that was like the drink on set. It was like cases of Moxie just being poured in, and it punches you with some caffeine as well, which is also nice when you're filming. But yeah, a Moxie and a whoopie pie is like the main snack drink of choice.
I love it. And you found yesterday, so Julie and I saw Evil Dead Burn together. This is the first time since I started my podcast where I've actually seen a movie with the person I'm podcasting with the next day, or on the show. So this is exciting. I'm like, when I picked Julia for this and she said yes, I was like, can we see it together? She said yes. So it was exciting. And then before we saw the movie, we went to the farmer's market at the Grove, and Julia found that they had a Moxie there. So
they did. So I was very happy. So I was like, this will be drink today while I'm doing this. I would like to preface this though. Becky did reach out to me about doing this movie, and I did tell her that yes. I have not seen any of the modern Evil Dead movies. I have seen the original trilogy, the Sam Raimi trilogy, and that's it. So whatever I say today that makes me sound like I'm a moron, I will say I'm sorry. The modern has passed me by, and honestly, this one probably would have passed me by unless you asked me to. But you were like, "Let's go see it," and it's okay if you don't know. And I was like, "All right, let's go."
Yeah. So I picked Julia because as you guys know, every episode so far, as my audience knows, I pick somebody who's specifically suited for that movie in some way. And it doesn't have to be that they're a massive fan of that film. It could just mean like, for instance, I picked Adam Rackoff for Disclosure Day. He was a big Spielberg enthusiast, but he also loves UFOs and science fiction, and had just produced a documentary on UFOs, so he couldn't have been more perfect for Disclosure Day. And Julia, I really wanted Julia on my show, and I thought about it, and I'm like, well, I wanted you to do a horror film because I think we talk horror all the time. And I asked, and you had loved the original Evil Deads, but hadn't really seen the modern ones. But I said it was fine because it's a standalone story. So I thought, well, it's standalone, you don't need to know, and you kind of know how the other ones are. And so I'm actually the same way. Like, I'm not like a massive Evil Dead fan. To give you an understanding, and maybe you can talk about it too, Julia, about maybe your exposure to even seeing the original. I had saw Evil Dead. I saw it after college, and I saw it with my friend at her house, and I was so scared. The first Evil Dead scared the hell out of me. There's scenes in the forest where there's so much stuff in that movie that I thought was really terrifying. And I remember there was moments where I thought I got to the feeling of like, it doesn't happen often in horror films, but the first Evil Dead, the Sam Raimi film, there are moments where I'm like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Like, do I want to even continue to go? And also thinking that one scene in the forest where in particular, I remember thinking, if that happened to me in real life, that would be the end of Becky. Like, I would just lose my mind. There would be I would just go out of my head. Mm-hmm. So it's also funny when you watch a movie and you think about like, if I was in this horror movie, will I be mentally stable after like this experience? Probably not. And maybe that's true with a lot of horror films. If you see all your friends get murdered, maybe you don't have a happy life after that. But anyway, then the second one obviously is more fun and like not terrifying. It's gory and it's fun, whatever. But the first one really scared me. Like, I was scared. And then I worked at Sony, and we had released some of the modern ones. The Fede Alvarez version, I enjoyed. I thought that was great. I really like Fede Alvarez. I think he's like got a really amazing voice in horror. And then the last movie, Evil Dead Rises, was Lee Cronin, who did The Mummy. I didn't see The Mummy. I heard it wasn't very good, so I just wanted to stay away from that one. But I actually liked Evil Dead Rises. It was fun. It was gory. It wasn't great, but I liked the whole premise of the mom and the kid. I really related to that. This film was its own story, and we will get into it in a minute. But before we do, Julia, do you have any take on like your experiences the first time you saw the first Evil Dead?
Yeah, of course. And the thing is like the reason I haven't seen the modern ones up until now is because for me, like Evil Dead is Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi. And if I don't have them, I don't really want it, right? Because to me, they're so connected. Because so my podcast, Horror Movie Survivor Guide, my best friend Marion and I in college did this thing where we watched every horror movie at the horror movie section of our local video store and wrote this notebook about it and kept scores and the whole bit. And the thing that we loved most about Evil Dead, we had a copy of Bruce Campbell's Confessions of a B-Movie Actor, and we're like watching the series and reading the book concurrently. And the book is so incredible for showing how they did so much stuff, right? Where they have Sam Raimi has a board with some Vaseline on it. And they're just going to like shove that camera down there and see what happens. And so I love Evil Dead because it's so homemade, and especially the first one, it's the mind-blowing creativity without any money, right? Like there are so many shots in Evil Dead that don't need to be crazy, but they are, and I'm so glad they are. So I'm one of the unique persons. Like I think most people like the series more as it goes along, and I feel like Evil Dead, the first one, is perfect. Evil Dead 2 gets a little sillier. Army of Darkness gets a little sillier after that. And I really like Ash when he's like a normal guy who's just like, fucking, what is happening? Like he's trying to, like that's the interest. Like I understand, like he gets into the chainsaw hand and then he's like, big like, hail to the king baby and stuff. Like I love all of it. And Bruce Campbell's a delightful person, and like I will watch him do anything. So for me, there's like so much of that intertwined. Like, but how do you transfer that if you don't have that vision and that person to give me that feeling?
Yeah.
And I will say the thing that immediately surprised me about this new one is like, it's really mean, like really fucking mean. And I was also very surprised because when I think of Evil Dead, I think slapstick, right?
Yeah.
Like I think like they get sillier, but like so much of those movies are Bruce Campbell just being like a fucking slapstick crazy being thrown around a cabin. And so it's like, if you're going to pick, why remake this series if you're not going to go forward with that tone? Because I feel like this as a series has a very specific tone, and if you suddenly pivot and you go, okay, that's strange. So I don't know if the new ones have been meaner and like this is not news to anybody, but to me I was like, okay, like the characters are mean. I don't really like anybody, and that's weird too, because I'm like, why do you make a horror movie when I don't like anybody? Because then I'm like, fucking kill them. I don't like these people anyway, like. And I think about all of the characters in all of the Evil Dead and how much you want them to be okay. Like you're fighting for them to live, and like you really like them. And like this, I'm like, I got nothing for no one. I'm sorry,
Oh, I agree. That's like the perfect segue into the movie. It's a movie talk. So, because I believe it's very mean spirited too. So I think what I want to say is we're going to get into the movie for maybe a few minutes. We're going to talk about what we thought about the film and not get into spoilers. I do typically try to stay away from spoilers. And I know on Disclosure Day, I felt like we couldn't even talk about why we love the movie without going into spoilers. So that was a spoiler heavy episode. I think Julie and I will talk for a few minutes on the movie, but I did want to get into specific things about why we thought it was really mean and things like that. So we will say, hey, we're going to get into spoilers, and we'll tell you, so in case you do want to see it, then you can turn it off and come back when you do see it. So Julia, I am bummed because this film, the Fede Alvarez version, which was the first of the newer films, I thought was really fun. It had a very Sam Raimi vibe. It was gory and fun, and it was very similar. It was like kind of a remake of the original film, in the cabin, and not as viscerally as scary as the first Sam Raimi film. And then the last one was Evil Dead Rises, which on Letterboxd, I gave it like 3 out of 5 stars, which 3 stars is still pretty good for me. That means I enjoyed myself. It's not like a wonderful, great movie, which maybe a 4 and a 5 is like masterpiece, but 3 I had fun with it. I think what I liked about it was different. The movie essentially moved into the city, and it was different. It wasn't like a cabin setting. This mom, her husband had left her, so she let her she had her sister move in with her and help her take care of her three kids. And then a lot of stuff went awry, and it was really kind of fun because there was like spooky things that happened in the hallway with the door, when you look out the door, what's it called?
Keyhole.
Like, keyhole. Thank you very much. Thank you. When you look at the keyhole, there was stuff with the keyhole, like seeing what's in the hallway. So it was a really fun movie. I enjoyed it itself. And there was some fun stuff happening in the parking garage of the apartment. Again, it was different things for Evil Dead. So I liked it. It was original. This movie is sort of back where these people, this family kind of gets together in this lake house, which is all decrepit and bizarre and weird, but it's very mean spirited. I thought it was, I don't mind gore. I like gore. It's so gory, but not in like a really fun way. Like, like the Final Destination movies are gory, but they're like fun. This is like, it was gory to be like really mean. And just like every time there was like one more, they just went an extra step of just gore. Like there is the beginning. This isn't a spoiler really at all, but like the very beginning, there's a scene where one of the characters from like a previous installment actually shows up and kills these two fishermen. And it's the very beginning of the movie. And this guy gets burned, and we don't know these characters at all other than the discussion they're having in a boat. And he gets like electrocuted somehow in the water, or burned somehow. And when he comes out, this deadite walks by and she steps on his face, and the skin from his face like moves, and it's so gross.
It was his hand, like his hand came off.
It was just really gross. But the movie is relentless in the gore, which again, if you're here for gore, great. But like it's very mean in how it does it, and we'll talk about why. I also just like really the premise is there's this guy that starts off at there's like after these fishermen, there's a party. And I actually couldn't understand. I don't think they did a very good job explaining who was who. I was very confused too. But there's these brothers. I didn't really understand that they were brothers until later. I thought they were just buddies. But one of the brothers, it's his birthday, and they're celebrating his brother's birthday. And it was at this, one of the brothers owns this restaurant, and he's getting to fight with his girlfriend. And then it just goes from there. It's then there's a funeral, and it's
but
just
like you're skipping over like he's super abusive, and we have this thing in my movie, and I had to do every week, called the asshole boyfriend grab, which is when someone comes up and grabs someone by the back of the elbow and yanks, which he does immediately. And I was like, well, there we are, folks. Like that's all you have to do in a movie to be like, well, something's wrong with this person. But he's very abusive, and then in the movie, that abuse is taunted back at her several times, where it's like, you didn't leave, you must have liked getting hurt. I was like, what? And then they keep calling like a whore and a bit. Like the thing is like, I like hardcore gore, and I sometimes I like it when it's mean. I like frontiers. I like high tension. Like if you want to make that kind of movie, I'm down, but don't take a series that's about comedy horror and turn it into something that isn't that. I don't understand the transition, because it's, it's the same as like, I was the new Welcome to Derry series. I'm very fastidious, right? So there was like stuff in that series where I'm like, Pennywise doesn't do that. He doesn't have that power. As far as we know, I have never seen this. I felt a lot of ways about this one. I was like, what rule book are we living in? Like, where is all of this? Because I don't know, like the Deadites seem to have infinite power. There doesn't seem to be like I don't know what they can do and what they can't do. And I don't feel like you need a little bit of boundaries for me to be like, they can't just be like omnipotent and they can do whatever they want. Like there has to be a rules to it. And so we have the like decapitation, which is great. Like we love it. That's easy done. Very confusing to me, because it seemed to me like a movie where they had kind of shoehorned Evil Dead in more than an Evil Dead movie, because it's like the things that I love about that series weren't present in this movie at all, other than a Bruce Campbell photograph. Like they're not there. And so
I missed the photograph.
Grandma's going up the stairs and they pan past, and there's a bunch of photographs, and his headshot's one of them.
I missed that. They're sort of like they have the shot from above, which was very, and then I think the music is sort of calls back to the Evil Dead franchise. And then
There was some.
shots.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
Yeah,
exactly.
some beautiful cinematography. I feel like there's a lot of really fun stuff, but not. I guess
DNA.
when I walk away with after watching Evil Dead, I was like, Jesus Christ, that man directed the fuck out of that movie. Every single frame was thought of, and like, how can we do it differently? And what if like, and it didn't feel like the cinematography was the star, which is a lot of what I think of also when I think of Evil Dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. It wasn't that at all, and it's just to give some insight into Julia, because other thing is watching a horror movie with Julia is so fun, because Julia loves horror, but like I never could tell if she likes a movie or she doesn't like it. She's very like sits there and takes it in, and it's often you don't see her jump or scare. She's seen everything, but I had no idea throughout this film if she was hating it or loving it or what. And then I saw a movie with her a few years ago, which we actually celebrated Hokum, by Damien McCarthy, and I saw Oddity with you. Mm-hmm. And that was exciting. We saw it. It was like at the Lemley Music Hall, I think, and it had been out. I think it had been out for a while, and it was like the last place that it was showing, and you saw it with me. And that movie, again, you really enjoyed it, but I had no idea, because I couldn't tell, because Julie's like, not
I don't get scared anymore. That's the thing, right? Like but you have to understand is like going to horror movies is my very favorite thing in the theater, because I get to feed off of everybody else's fear, like Pennywise, right? Like my favorite noise in the whole world is joyous disgust. When something happens on screen and it's horrible, but everybody loves it and everybody goes, whoa, like when you get 300 people doing that, like that makes my heart happy. Like it fills my soul up. So I will give this movie, there was a lot of that, right? And it's always fun to see which are the ones that hit the most, because there's such an load on gore. But there was so much of it that I was like, I don't understand what this gore is for. Like there's stuff that characters do that I'm like, I don't understand. This doesn't seem, I don't know. Like, I guess we'd have to be more specific about things.
we can get more specific. I in a second. I think it's just if you're obviously maybe you shouldn't be going to this film if you're a squeamish person, because this is really gory. It's relentless gore.
Because even like Terrifier, the reason it's okay is because you have art being goofy, right? Like he's kind of levitating, which is this horrifying gore. And I feel like if you don't have any comedy angle to it, it just becomes heavy. Shout out, there was some CGI, but a good amount of practical effects, which I always give a shout out to, because I'm glad that horror has got the message that people would like practical effects. Please and thank you. So that makes me happy.
Yeah. I was kind of bummed too about the trailer, which I think I might have mentioned in the past, is that I typically don't seek out trailers. I like seeing trailers before movies, and that's when I see them and they're fun. But if a trailer drops online, I try to avoid it, because if I can get surprised, then I love to get surprised and not know. And there's a few sequences that happen in this movie that was a bummer, because I think the trailer is almost a whole scene, and like, so I kind of knew what was happening. When I saw the trailer, I didn't know what the character, who was who, and what their relationships were. So I guess that was helped, but it was a bummer when the sequences happened from the trailer, and I was like, I already know what's going to happen here, and that was a bummer.
Which is how every trailer modern same, like please stop doing that. Nobody likes it. So honestly, nobody likes it. That was exactly, and it gives you like kind of a creative thing. Like, what if trailers become their own third space, right? Where it's all like, okay, we're making this specifically for this trailer, but we're not giving away anything. Like it can be more than a teaser, but less than what we see now, like a happy medium. But generally teasers make me happy. And I'm like, great. Yeah. 30 seconds in and out. And I'm intrigued.
Yeah. And then also, I think one last point before I want to get into the specifics, and it won't be that much longer, because it's not like there's a lot to unpack with this film, but there's a whole aspect of like, I've mentioned this, and I've actually talked to you about this, Julia, but it's something that I thought of when Evil Lurks, or When Evil Lurks. Did you see that movie?
Yeah.
That movie is, I think was Argentinian. I can't remember where it was from again, but that movie I would consider horrifying. So sometimes I look at movies where I go horrifying versus terrifying. To me, the movies that I think hit me most are the terrifying movies. I want to be scared. I want like, and sometimes that means there's no gore at all because my imagination conjure up things far worse. So
Sure.
some of the movies that really have gotten me over the years have been the found footage. It's been the Blair Witch, the Paranormals, where there's the sound, there's something around the corner. Hokum recently, things that like they do so some things, but most of the time it's like I'm so scared. That's the feeling that I love. That's more of like the terrifying things. So something can really scare me, then that's a huge win for me. And then that there's gore on top, that's fun. That's, that's cool too. Then there's those films that are horrifying. Like it's just like not scary, but it's just there for gore. And then there's some like Final Destinations, gory but fun. This movie wasn't either. I felt like it felt more into the horrifying thing of like, it just was there to gross you out every chance you could get. And I think again, if we cared about the characters, maybe we had more vested interest, but it was
I
just
feel like horror 101. That's the first thing you like have to care about the characters or else you don't care if they get killed. That's like number one. So I'm like, this is so strange to pivot away from that, especially in a movie where all of the characters have always been quite joyous and delightful and like you want to be on the journey with them. It just feels like this. It doesn't feel like an evil, like the things I think of when I think of Evil Dead, I didn't see in this film.
Yeah.
So
and usually there's like at least one character.
Well, I feel like there's even, if I'm going to go into like, there's even a moment
let's get into spoilers.
Okay, so there's a moment where we have a character with a weed whacker that she finally gets to gear up and is going to go like be badass now. And they have the like pan up shot where here's Bruce Campbell with his arm and groovy. And they like start to do it. And I was like, are they going to fucking do it? Nope. And I was like, but why? Just have it like give us something, like that's all we really need to like, because I heard there was a little when people saw like Bruce Campbell's picture. So like clearly the people who were there with us last night know the thing. So it's just why make it a part of the franchise if it doesn't feel like the franchise but I think, Julia, what's the answer here? Money. Always the answer.
So funny. Let's get into some specifics because so we are in spoiler territory here. And hopefully you can revisit if you want to see this movie and come back when you see it, and then also check or just fast forward to the Becky challenge, which will be legendary, I'm hoping. Because Julia is amazing with Stephen King trivia. But
there actually, did you know there is a kind of Evil Dead Stephen King link that I had to change in my short film because in the original short story, I Know What You Need, which was released in 1976, as I said, there's a Necronomicon reference that the character has a Necronomicon and that's how he has his powers. But so in 1976, that reference is an obscure Lovecraft thing, right? It's like a nerdery nerd type stuff. But now it's an Evil Dead reference. So I can't have him have an Necronomicon because people are like, what the fuck? We're fucking an Evil Dead now? like you can't do it. So I have to be like, okay, we're going to pivot away. We're going to do something different. I gave him the like push power that Andy McGee has in Firestarter, which has, mental manipulation and using the kind of same thing. But it's like, I had to take it out because I was like, it's just Evil Dead now, which is kind of weird that it's like it changed in the time the story came out till now.
So crazy. Yeah. The one thing I think maybe we should have mentioned before the spoiler, in case people did want to see it, in case it's a trigger, but there is if you have a trigger when it regards to animal cruelty, then don't see this movie. They hurt a dog in this film, and we're in spoiler here because I'm assuming you're here listening to this, but not just once. There are 3 times where this dog gets like, he's a deadeye. I think the next 2 times he's at that point, but the first time it's really shocking and mean. And I'm like, why are we hurting the dog? We didn't have to hurt the dog. And it didn't, I mean, we already knew this guy was not a nice person.
Right.
And it was just, and then it's like maybe they don't like dogs, but it was crazy how they went after the dog 3 separate to same dog.
Yeah. If you go to where the dog died, does the dog die? Yes, the dog dies. Multiple times. Yeah. Because it got kind of Pet Cemetery for a while there. And I was like, okay, we're getting this kind of territory. But yeah, it was very unnecessary. So my question about the dad. So the dad, so we have a scene in which the dad is attacking the girlfriend and his son is freaking out, right? The son has a gun. She says, shoot him. He does not. but instead just kind of jumps out of the car, right? We're like, I assume he had some plan there, but I don't know what it was, because now you've just abandoned your girlfriend who's going to get killed. And now your dad has your gun. So it's like, that is one of the stupidest things I've ever seen a character do in a movie. What the fuck? How am I supposed to like that guy? Like, what the fuck? But the dad comes up to the hotel. When we see the dad is back, when he comes up, first of all, if she had let him kill himself with the knife in the beginning, none of it would have happened. So I'm just going to say that, like, that actually was a thing. But also, when he comes up to the house,
girls do it. I think the wife, the girl that was being abused, is the one that saved him, right? Not the girl that was in the car. That gets not the girlfriend. I don't know. The wife and the girlfriend.
I'm talking about the French girl, the girl with the pink hair.
Oh yeah, the French girl. Yeah.
If she had not saved dad,
if she had not saved it, then maybe none of this would have happened.
But dad comes up and is now scary dad, and we can see he's very scary dad. He's very Begbie from Train Spotting. You're like, he's gonna like knock your head in, but he shoots himself in the face 3 times, right? And they really like milk it for everything it's worth. They're going to show you he's going to do it. You know, he's going to do it here. He's going to do it here. He's going to do it here.
Yeah.
But why? Why did he do that? For what? There's no purpose for him to do that, as like he's just trying to scare them. Like, is that the rationale? I don't like, because he goes around with that fucking thing which is great. But why? What was that for?
Yeah, because the one time would have been shocking enough, because you don't really know that he's a deadite. I guess they still don't know what's going on with dad. Maybe he's just crazy or something. But you're like, oh my God, seeing a family member do that is horrific. Anybody do it is horrific. But back to the scene in the car, and I got confused. I meant like the French girl, the abusive girl. If she had stopped the dad from hurting himself, then none of this would happen. There's a different girl in the car, and I think that's what I thought.
Oh yes.
About. But the scene, so there's 2 brothers. One brother has an abusive relationship. He dies pretty early on in a fiery car wreck, because he hits a deadite with his car, and then the car goes explosive. And then he kind of comes back to, it's a whole thing with him. But the other brother, who you're supposed to like, I guess, but he's just a disaster too, is in the car later with his dad, and his dad is literally trying to kill his girlfriend. And at that point, I guess it's your dad, so you don't want to hurt your dad, but your dad is killing your girlfriend. And that was also a crazy moment of like, the girlfriend later says like, oh my God, you didn't like save me. Like, he doesn't hurt his dad. And I guess you didn't have to shoot him in the face, but you could have shot him somewhere else so he wouldn't keep hurting your girlfriend.
Just kick him out of the car or something.
But like, he chose his dad over his girlfriend, but like, your dad's not like, it's not like, Sophie's Choice situation. It's like your dad is killing your girlfriend in front of you. How are you not doing something about it? That was nuts. And then they throw that in the face. There's a bunch of like weird stuff with women throughout this movie too. Like you said, the family, it's like the worst in-laws in hell, like the in-laws from hell. This whole family doesn't like their daughter-in-law. And so they all become deadites at some point, but they all have like weird situation. They don't like her. And they think that she brought like to the family, like that their son wasn't happy, and her son wanted a kid, and you didn't give our son a kid. I don't know. It was just a mess, but they're super like crappy to her, and the grandma's crappy to her, and everyone's awful. And then this other girlfriend, like even when the deadites start talking to them, they're like, oh, your dad, he didn't save you from your dad. And like, they're just obviously kept throwing it in the face of like that these women are just trash, and it's really mean.
And everybody was on the side of the abusive son, which is awkward. Yeah. And like, what is
dad?
I don't know what the message around all of that was. It felt very fuzzy and not terribly pleasant. But can I ask, so yeah, you said the 2 guys in the beginning we've never seen before, right? The like opening scene, the guys who are fishing, we've never seen.
I don't think so. I think those guys are just fishing. Yeah,
because this is. I will tell you what I thought was happening in the beginning. You need to let me know if I'm out of universe here.
Yeah, and maybe I am.
I don't know. So we have guys. We have guys fishing. The very beginning is the credits is Joseph the son who is going through Grandpa's stuff, which happens to include the Necronomicon and then all of these little like tape recorders and stuff. It appeared to me that he read the spell that just opened the portal to stuff coming out, because then they were fishing, but then there was like a head that like had floated up of the thing, and then the woman on the boat who made the sea boil and killed him and stuff. I took that to be like, oh, okay, he's like opened the doors. This is happening all over the world now. Like every deadite from everywhere is opening the door. I was under that impression that like while we're happening in this house, if you panned over, it would be happening everywhere else in the entire world. But then cops mysteriously show up at the end of this movie when I still have no idea who called the cops because I don't think anybody did. But then I was like, oh, they
Who
weren't
called the
like,
cops?
we're in the middle of a zombie apocalypse or anything. Like they were just like a normal
Yeah.
police. So then I was like, okay, maybe not. So I think that I missed something in translation there.
So I don't know enough of the back lore, but the character in the beginning, the Deadite that kills them, that boils the water, she is from a previous film.
Okay.
I think she's the friend.
See, you told me it was self-contained and you lied to me, Becky.
I know.
You lied.
Well, if you look the movie up, it says self-contained story. I didn't know this chick would come from another movie. But this girl apparently was in, I don't think it's the first Evil Fede Alvarez version. I think it might have been the last version, the one that took place in the city. In the beginning of that, I think they're in a cabin and one of the someone's girlfriend gets murdered. And
so what's she doing in the lake?
I think it was near the lake. So I don't, there's somebody who knows more of this lore better can help explain. But from what I understand.
This is why doing a podcast with me is a little bit infuriating because I will ask every single time a detailed question.
I get it. And I want you to know, like you typically with the show, it's like, I don't ask my guests or I want to just be able to review this movie. I don't want them to task them to saying, you need to watch, like you need to watch every Evil Dead. And so, cause I'm going to quiz you on every Evil Dead, or I want like no barrier to entry for people to listen, to be like, if this is your first Evil Dead, you could just listen to this is fine. And I don't want it to be academic where you have to know every single thing of every single thing. And I want my guests just to be able to come on and not have to like re-listen to everything. But it is confusing, but also this is a problem because I've seen these last few Evil Deads and it's been a few years in between. I didn't catch that it was her until I think I read about it today. I was looking through and I was like, oh, that woman from the beginning in the lake. I think her name is Deadite Jessica. She's Jessica from I think the last film, or it could be the Fede Alvarez one, but I think it's the last one. But I didn't catch that. And I liked the last movie and I saw it 2 years ago. So if I didn't catch it, I'm sure a lot of people didn't unless they're like obsessed with these newer versions of these films that have seen them. So it's confusing. It's not laid out, and I don't know why she's all of a sudden around. And I think he opened up something in her, and then she went after, and I think she's then going after. She starts the beginning because then that Deadite Jessica, I think her name is Jessica. She goes to the brother, and then she's the one that causes him to get in a car accident. So I think she's going after this dagger or something, but none of that's explained. It's very confusing, and again, I don't think most people wouldn't even put it 2 and 2 together, or maybe you would have. But
I would just need to say that they need to hire us for one, because like the Evil Dead movie that I could make, that we could make, you get some crazy fun slapsticky lady loving Bruce Campbell-y kind of stuff going on. I don't know. It seems an odd pivot for this series, but
I think I agree.
It's interesting too because I didn't know you definitely screamed and are way more active during the film, which is normal because I've seen so many horror movies so many times that like it doesn't really faze me much anymore. So it's good to hear that. So the audience noise is what allows me to like be like, okay, this is how everybody's feeling right now. And you definitely got you with jump scares.
It got me, and I will mention it twice. It did. So the movie is, like I said, not terrifying, but horrifying. Although there are 2 sequences where I got scared. So that's the only redeeming parts of this movie that I feel. One is Grandma is like, I think she's like maybe not Alzheimer's, but she has some memory issues. And so but then there's a scene where Grandma's in bed and all of a sudden she remembers her daughter, which is the daughter immediately, she says her name and all of a sudden she's like, oh, my mom remembers me, because her mom doesn't really remember her. And you turn around and the grandma is covered in a sheet. So it's like a ghost, one of those sheet ghosts. But so it's when they show the shot, the sheet is like this, she's talking under a sheet and then the sheet rises up, and that really was a scary image. That was the first time and only time in the movie where I was actually scared, and I was like, this is a great sequence, this is very scary. That was the first time I was scared. I wish I was more of that. And then I think a few minutes later there was a scene where it was grandma maybe again, where she pops into a frame and I jumped. So I had one jump scare and then a part where I was actually scared. But that's not enough for me to like this movie. I'd like to be scared more. Like a few things worked, but so many things didn't work.
I'm delighted to have this conversation with you, Becky, because I seriously just came in here today being like, she really liked it. I'm going to be like the downer that'd be like, sorry,
No.
man. But like, I'm kind of glad that you kind of felt the same way about it. Cause I feel like you and I have very different movie tastes.
Yeah.
We have a lot of overlapping, but we have a lot of different too. Right.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like my passion is older movies, right? Like I watch way more older movies than I do new movies. And with things that feel special to me, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I've seen the first one. That's it. Because that movie is perfect and I don't want it ruined by anything. And I know the sequels are good, but they get goofy and I don't want it to get goofy and I don't need to see it like a Hollywood remake. I don't need it. Like I want it to be this perfect, like single thing in my head. Yeah. So I'm strange with my movie affections. And so with Evil Dead, because I know it came from such a grassroots place, to me, that's what's important and is the soul of this series is like you find an independent filmmaker and you be like, and you let them go crazy with, $500,000 or something tiny, like you think about like $90,000 Evil Dead's made for, right? Like because it feels so overwhelmingly Hollywood to me, like it loses what I like about the series. In the series, I like you're trapped in this place and they got that. This mansion was great, but like I'm looking for insane camera angles, very creative filmmaking. I'm looking for characters that I'm really into. I'm looking for woods. I'm looking for demons. I'm looking for daggers. And like, there's so much of it that I really, really like. And it's confusing to me. Why wouldn't you go into that? But for me, like I would like my adaptation stuff to be very, very literal. Like I need there to, like I'm very stringent about it. And a lot of people are like, oh, who cares? And I'm like, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't matter. To me, it matters because because it affected me growing up reading this story about Sam Raimi and them like out in the wood making this thing. And they're like calling dentists to get money. And like, they're just believe so much in it. And it's such a beautiful horror film, but just a piece of cinema that like just maybe slipped through the cracks because Stephen King saw it and liked it. Like that just kind of happened. But you think about how many people out there around the world have incredible ideas and they don't have the money to make it and like could make it something special that when you make it like, oh, it's a franchise now. And now it becomes this shared universe that's so, watered down that it doesn't feel like the core thing that it's representing. And so for me, I have a really hard time with sequels and remakes and reboots and all that stuff. Cause I'm like, it's never going to be better than the original first one. So like it's only ever going to be returning diminishing returns. So why?
So I'll say why.
Okay.
I like them, but I love Julia's amazing and extraordinary. And that's the thing is I don't need my guests to always agree with me, and I don't need my guests to have the same taste as everything. I want different, varied voices. Everyone, all different. I love Julia's perspective on being a purist with these original films and why they're special to her, because movies are special to all of us in different ways. Look at all those VHSs behind Julia. It's like extraordinary. And please follow her on social media. We will get to there at the very end, but she does these great video a day with the VHS a day, and they're amazing. So for me, I look for the thing that I care the most about, and why I'm able to overlook and I'm okay with remakes and things is I look for a good story. I care most about a good story. If it's a remake, it's fine with me if they do it right. I care about caring about the characters and what it looks like, and not so much on like, this is like T2. Like some people, I don't know, it's like kind of hard too, because no one's ever made a remake of T2, but I think if somebody said they were going to make a remake of Terminator 2, it would, your nurse reaction is like, this is my favorite movie of all time. What's happening? Yeah. But I think I would be okay for a variety of reasons. One of the reasons maybe I shouldn't take T2 because that's my favorite movie of all time. Let's take other remakes in general. I'm okay because I always feel like it's nice to hear all these different voices out there. There's so many different filmmakers getting their take on stuff. Like Zach Krager, I love him. I would love to see his take on things. Ingmar Bergman was okay with remakes. He remade plays and things like that too. He did Virgin Spring,
and Wes Craven remade him as Last House on the Left.
Exactly. So. And so what I think about is And that's a perfect example. Wes Craven remade, his own take on Virgin Spring, right? But what I like about it is because one way is it could be their own take and it's his own thing, but also sometimes I think it helps because it can bring people to the original. Maybe
Sure.
there's a whole new generation that would never look, and sadly, maybe never look at a movie that's 40 years old or 50 years old. I mean, they
Sure.
should, but some people don't. And then sometimes if you have a movie that's amazing, that's a remake, maybe it's not as good or maybe it's great. And the person may be like, oh, I actually didn't know it was a remake. Let me go seek out the original. And then it just gets more of an audience. That's what I love too. I
Agreed.
also, yeah. And then I'm also one of those people that I've said this before of like, it's not ruining there's a remake or if they're not ruining it. Like no one's going in your house and taking your Blu-ray from you of Texas Chainsaw. Like, you know what I mean? Like you could still have it. It still exists. You still can watch it.
Sure.
You choose, which is great, not to watch any other ones because this is all you need. And that's great. But some people will be like, how like it's like let's burn the world down, flip the table over that they're even remaking it. But for me, I look at it opens up new audiences. Maybe I want to see like a Wes Craven's view on what Bergman did. So
Sure.
sometimes it's that there's different ways to look at it, but it's all subjective. Films are all subjective. Which version are like? I got really mad like when Rob Zombie remade the Halloween movie. I was open. I love John Carpenter's Halloween. I'm obsessed with John Carpenter's Halloween. I wasn't pissed that Rob Zombie was doing one. I was actually really excited. I'm like, ooh, a contemporary version. I'm going to try that out. And I hated Rob Zombie's Halloween so much to my core. And one of the reasons why I hated it so much was because they gave John Connor, Jesus. I was talking about how we always have a Terminator 2 reference. Somehow it always comes back to Terminator 2. I don't know how John Connor and Michael Myers are all alike, but what I meant to say was Michael Myers. They gave Michael Myers a backstory of like why. One of the reasons why I think Halloween works for me is that Michael Myers is evil. He's born evil. Nobody knows why he's evil. There's no backstory. And Rob Zombie gave Michael Myers a backstory of like, he had a hard life. His mom was a stripper and that's why he's this way. And I hated that. I thought what made Michael Myers scary was he was born evil. So again, somebody who might really love Rob Zombie's Halloween and like that backstory and not care as much, that was a problem for me. And that's why I didn't like those. So, but yeah, I was actually open to seeing them. And sometimes I do like the remakes, but yeah.
But I did come into this one yesterday being like, okay, I'm going to pretend, what if it's not an Evil Dead movie? Like if you take that out of it, right? I don't look at it as an Evil Dead movie. I just look at it as a horror movie that I've come to see. No. I'm just like,
I agree.
I didn't enjoy. The choice of how you're portraying your characters in this way was so flummoxing. Like you just alienated everybody, and I think but that also gives you space to like kill people more violently, right? Because you can just kind of, if you don't care about them, I guess you don't mind. Confused.
Agreed. And I think that's a good way to wrap it up is just that we can say that if you took Evil Dead out of the title of this, we would not be so hard on it. And I think we would probably be maybe more hard on it even. I think in general, it's not a good movie. I don't think it's a good movie. It's mean-spirited. You don't care about any of the characters. So it doesn't bother me when they get hurt. I mean, it's gross and it's everything, but you should care about the characters. You should want them to root for the final girl. It was gross for gross purposes. It wasn't fun. I got one scare out of it, so I can walk out of that. What was interesting is we got to do cinema score, which I've never.
Oh yeah, what did you give it?
It was so nice.
What did you give it?
I gave it a B.
What?
I know.
You faker. I gave it a D.
See, here's the thing. You know what's funny? I think I actually reflect true cinema score voters because, which is funny, I always wondered about this. There's a whole thing in marketing about cinema scores, and they say if a movie gets anything less than an A, it's probably really bad because most people, not us, but most people, when they walk out of a movie, it's like they like loved it. And if they didn't like it at all, like really hated it, it's an F. So like the movies that are Fs, that get F cinema scores, are probably movies to worth seeking out, because the memes are really, really divisive. Like
Sure.
Richard Kelly's The Box got an F, and there's certain movies that get like Fs that are like shouldn't have got an F. They were really intriguing and had different ideas. People's audiences just are confused. But usually they say if you say something had a B cinema score, a C, it means the movie's not good, because most general audiences will give it an A or an A minus or something. And I always thought that was funny when I would hear about that, because I'm like, well, a B is a B, like that should be good. But it's because of that. And I just proved their point that I gave it a B, because I'm like, well, it's not great, it's not that bad. So I gave it a B. And then the more I thought about it, I thought it was awful. But I didn't really truthfully, I go in and be like, this, I should have gave it at a much lower score. So it is funny that I had the self-fulfilling prophecy of, I became a general audience member last night, and not somebody who did movie marketing for 25 years. And maybe my movie marketing background helped me to be nicer to it. And also because it's a Sony movie and I have a soft spot for Sony because I was there for almost 20 years, that also could have played into it.
I would like to shout out, however, I would say everybody's performance, excellent.
Yes.
The physical effects work, excellent.
Cinematography, it looked great.
Cinematography, there was some fun stuff going on.
Yes, you're right. And then thank you for making it more positive. The special effects.
I got something. You know, it's hard because like I don't like when I don't like a movie that I have to talk about. It makes me uncomfortable, because of course I want to share it. And as a filmmaker, I know how hard it is to make a movie, right? There's so much that goes into it, and there's so many people. And I don't want to just be like, this is a bad movie. I'm not, because that's horrible. And like there are things that I can very intellectually tell you why I don't like it for what reasons. But I am so much more comfortable talking about movies I enjoy. So like it makes me feel strange, but this is okay. This is what, you know, I got to tell you the truth.
You got to tell us the truth. And you know what? That's why I love you, Julia. And that's why I love, this is exactly what this show is about. And you have known, this is our 7th episode. The only movie we haven't liked so far that we've covered, at least with me and my guest and I, is Supergirl. But we were fair about why we didn't like it. We said why. I think this is it. I don't think this podcast in all is trashing the movie and I don't think we're being mean-spirited. We're being honest. And I want our audience to come to our show every week. The point is to come on, hang out with us, get to know my guest, just have a fun experience, and be like, oh, well, Becky and Julia didn't like the movie very much. They thought this. And we want you to be honest. We don't want you to be like, oh, like, it's funny. Jamie was on my 2nd episode. We did Masters of the Universe, and he was telling me about how would you tell someone about this movie, closed doors, no one's around. And I'm like, I'm being honest. Like, I'm not being paid to say any of this. This is my genuine feelings. So I want people to go to my show every week and know that we're being genuine, but we're also going to be fair. And so thank you for bringing up the positives, the fact that the acting and special effects. And you're right, it's very hard to make a movie. We always want a movie to be good. We hope for it to
of course,
be good. It's just a bummer when it's not. Yeah. So I think, are you ready? We can pivot in a minute to the Becky challenge. Okay,
all
great.
Right.
We will pivot to the Becky challenge right after this. Okay, we're back for the Becky challenge. This Becky challenge is called Long Live the King. And before we start, I do want to say, I talked to Julia about this last night. She is a massive Stephen King fan, and you will see with the trivia. But I was telling her, I said, hey, this is like the hardest trivia. I think it might even be harder than the Adam Rackoff filmmaking quiz that I gave him a few weeks ago in the Toy Story episode. And Julia said to me last night, Becky, I did a trivia night. She just showed up to a trivia night, and she, as a one-woman show. And what happened, Julia? Tell us what happened.
I won the whole thing by myself.
Yeah. And you tell us about that night. You went to this thing and you just showed up, right?
Yeah, there was a Stephen King trivia night, and I would be like, I wonder how I'll do. So I went by myself. I don't have any other friends who are into Stephen King in my same way. And so went there, and when I got there, I was just by myself. So they're like, hey, do you want to join somebody else's team? And I was like, no, I'm good. So there was like 6 other teams of 4 to 6 people. And yeah, I won the whole thing. And I was like, all right, the 11-year-old Julia sitting on the back of the bus reading Pet Sematary is very happy right now. But this is the thing. I say this, and then you'll fucking blast me with this Stephen King thing. And then, I'll be like, oh, now I look like a nerd.
I was like, wait, you won a trivia night by yourself? So maybe my trivia is like laughable. But anyway, ready for the Becky challenge. I'm going to do an intro, and then we will go into, and let me get my scorecard ready for it. And here we go. All right, ready?
Yep.
All right. Welcome to the Becky Challenge. Julia, you spent years celebrating horror movies. You've adapted a Stephen King short story into award-winning film. You've introduced countless people to King's work through your podcast, and I've heard you proudly describe yourself as a constant reader. In fact, if there is a haunted hotel, a killer clown, a possessed car, or a cursed town anywhere near a bookshelf or a movie screen, there's a good chance you've written about it, podcasted about it, or convinced someone else to experience it. So today's challenge is called Long Live the King.
Woohoo, huzzah.
I'm going to test your knowledge of Stephen King's incredible worlds, from classic novels and unforgettable adaptations to deep-cut characters, short stories, and some questions only a true constant reader would know. Get in a fright, and you'll officially earn the title of constant reader. Get too many wrong, and you'll be spending the night at the Overlook Hotel, which I feel like you would like.
Yeah, pretty hot. I'm into that carpet. Go hang out with the bear guy over there. What are they doing in that room? Hell yeah.
What's going on in that room? Hilarious. Okay, so let me get every time I say I'm not going to sit there and find my scorecard, and then every time I'm like, wait, where is it? All right, here we go. All right. Let's pull it up and then ask you your questions. Okay. Round 1. There's 25 questions, so okay. You know. Round 1, this is called The Books. That's what this round is called. What was Stephen King's first published novel?
Carrie.
Love it. Okay, number 2. Which Stephen King novel first introduced that fictional town of Castle Rock?
That's a good question.
It was a good one.
Cujo?
I have The Dead Zone.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Number 3.
But Cujo takes place in Castle Rock.
Oh, does that
The Dead Zone takes... No. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that it takes place in that town. Dead Zone takes place in Pownell, but anyway. Here we go.
Oh, okay. Well, if I am wrong, let me know.
No, you're not. I'm not saying you're wrong. As I said, who knows? Let's go. What questions you got?
3. Which novel follows Charlie McGee, a young girl with pyrokinetic abilities?
Firestarter. One of my very favorites. It's one of the most faithful adaptations of book to screen.
Oh, it is.
And I also love that it has like an MK Ultra connection, which makes me happy too. So That's a whole conversation for another day.
Yeah, no, I love it. That's what I love about these quizzes.
That's right back here.
Amazing. My challenge is quiz my guests on something they're passionate about. So it's always fun to hear the commentary in between the questions where someone's like, let me get you a little into this. So that's amazing. I love it. Number 4, which novel follows Louis Creed after his family moves to Ludlow, Maine?
Pet Sematary. So Pet Sematary was the book and the film that got me not only into horror, but also into Stephen King. So that was my gateway. So the copy I have, so this copy of Stephen King's Pet Sematary that I have right here is the copy that I've had since I was 11 or 12 that I would watch obsessively. I would make my friends watch it at slumber parties and stuff. And very famously, when I was about 12 or 13, I went to a Halloween party dressed as Dead Gage, after the Micmac burial ground. And everybody else at the party is 12-year-old girls, right? They're like princesses and cheerleaders and stuff. And I was like, I'm Gage from Pet Sematary. So it's been a while. It's been in my blood. But the thing I love about VHS is this is the same tape and it works great. Oh,
that's amazing.
No problems.
I love it. I think I remember I read it when I was 12 and it was like 1,200 pages, but I think Tommy Knockers might have been my first book, but it was the one I fell in love with.
Yeah, me too. And it's like it was like Pet Cemetery, Carrie, and it were all around
Yeah.
the very same time. So I always wanted to be a member of the Losers Club. I always thought they were way cooler than any sort of superhero. And then I'm on a podcast called the Losers Club. So
I
thank
know.
you,
You made
universe.
your
I got my
wish.
wish.
And it's amazing. All right, number 5. Last question in this round. Which novel features writer Paul Sheldon being held captive after a car accident?
That is Misery. And my best friend Terry and I, who do horror movies Survivor, I get together. We just got to do a new commentary track for Arrow's new version of Misery that's coming out, a Blu-ray. So that was really wild, and getting to be a part of that in a way, and go, okay, let's get in there with my Stephen King knowledge. This is what I've been waiting for my whole life, right?
That's so amazing. I when I heard about that, I think it was last week or the week before, I was completely floored. That is like a dream come true to be, and
Completely.
then not even just like an obscure movie that no one's heard of, like one of Stephen King, like a classic film, and Stephen King's one of his most renowned books. That's such a dream come true.
Oh, completely.
Of course they picked you and Terry. That's of course. Because you guys are the best. Okay, round 2. So you got 4 out of 5 in that round. Round 2, from page to screen. Number 6. Who directed Stand By Me?
Rob Reiner.
Yes.
That's right.
Okay.
There. Bing, bing.
I love how you can point out to your VHSs for all these. Okay. Number 7. Under which pen name did Stephen King publish The Long Walk, Thinner, and The Running Man?
Richard Bachman. So I am the Bachman girly on the Losers Club podcast, because I think the Bachman books are some of my very favorite of Stephen King's works. The Long Walk in particular, I love, but they're all this like one man, really angry against the world, getting crushed. And it's great because it's this feeling of like how he felt before he became famous, right? So like once he becomes famous and there's money, like the books shift. And of course they would, right? Like you're not the same person anymore, but they're so angry. And I would really, really like to do, there's nobody's adapted Roadwork, which I really love. And I think getting a pansexual lady's perspective on a very machismo book would be kick-ass. So again, putting it out there. If the universe would like to make it happen, here we go.
Awesome. I'm sure it'll happen. Okay, number 8. Which Stephen King adaptation earned Kathy Bates the Academy Award for Best Actress?
Misery. And rightfully so. It was a terrific performance.
Yes, loved that movie. Number 9. Which actor portrayed Johnny Smith in The Dead Zone?
Christopher Walken. And I was always a little anti-Christopher Walken growing up because he just kind of creeped me out all the time. And then I saw the David Cronenberg version. And there's, in the very beginning, before he gets crazy, he's really cute. He's like a little English teacher reading Ichabod Crane. And I was like, oh, he's kind of cute. And I'd never seen him be cute before. And then I was like, okay, now I'm kind of bored, because his performance in that movie is out of control. Amazing.
Oh, amazing. I love that. Number 10. Last question in this round. Which Stephen King adaptation was directed by David Cronenberg?
The Dead Zone.
Yeah. You're like, wait, what's happening?
The one we just talked about, right?
Yeah. But you still had to,
Okay.
Answer it. That's amazing. Okay, so you have 9 out of 10 right now. And we're going to go to round 3, which is Long Live the King. Okay, number 11. I'm sorry. This round is, I'm going to give you a name, and you're going to name the novel, at least for the first 2.
Okay.
A possessed 1958 Plymouth Fury terrorized the small town. Name the novel.
Christine. And I would like to shout out Keith Gordon in Christine, who is like my dream boy, both before and after. Like when he's super nerd at the beginning, so hot for him. When he's like angry greaser at the end, so hot, into it. Like one of my very favorites. Yum. So delicious.
Oh, I love it.
And I like that. One time I put a video out about it and someone was like, I'm glad there's someone out there that thinks he's cute, because like that's not the point of his character at all. Like they're not trying to push him that way. But I saw him the first time. I was like, oh, he's adorable.
Oh, I love it.
And we got to do an episode with him on Horror Movie Starver Guide as well. He was so nice.
I love this.
Yeah,
it's so fun when you get to meet your crush.
He's so nice.
I met Edward Furlong. I didn't get to podcast with him or anything, but I met him at a show, I think a year or 2 ago. And I was obsessed with. He was a love
He
with
was,
him
I
when I
had
was 14.
so many pinups of him all over my wall.
Yeah,
Like he was one of the big ones. I was obsessed. I had my T2 tapes up there too that I watched over
yeah.
and over. I will tell you, Becky, that one time I matched with Tinder with Eddie Furlong. And
So
I was like, wee! And like, I was like, hey, how's it going? And then I got nothing. I got nothing.
oh,
Eddie, message me.
Eddie,
I'm into it.
hit her up. Yeah, I'm into it too. All right, number 12. Too much information. Okay, number 12. A rabbit Saint Bernard traps a mother and son inside a broken down Ford Pinto. Name the novel.
This is Cujo. And we were just talking, it's really interesting because like when I read it, Stephen King books, what I do is if I find a connection to another novel, I'll highlight it and put a sticky in. So like they're all marked in my thing. So there's a speech that in Pet Sematary that Jed gives about the Cujo. He's like, oh, there was this rabid dog that was down in Castle Rock and he killed these people. But it was just because the people didn't get the dog the shots. If they would have got his dog the shots, nothing would have happened. But he got bit on the nose by a rabid bat. So like, that's not the true story at all. So it's just like the story has already changed within the novel's universe and has like, Judd doesn't know that. And so you go, oh, it's kind of cool.
Oh my God. That is kind of cool.
You get me started, Becky. I'm just
No,
gonna,
I love
you know?
it. This is great. That's why people want to hang out with you. And this is why we do the Becky Challenge. So you get to know more about all your passions. Okay, so number 13. Which Stephen King collection contains The Jaunt?
Night Shift, right?
I have Skeleton Crew.
Okay.
Is that right? I don't know. Now
I assume it is. Yeah. I don't know. I asked for the question mark. Night Shift. I don't know. My forte is not keeping every single short story in bits in my head.
So I have another Stephen King collection question. We'll see if you get this one right. Which Stephen King collection contains The Mist?
I cannot remember.
This one is Skeleton Crew.
Okay.
All right. This is like what I did Adam when I did cameras, and he's like, "Why are you asking me these questions on this?" Okay,
no, it's valid. I just like I can't. There's so many short story collections that I can't like.
I know that's why I'm like, this is so hard. Okay, number 15. Now I feel better than the trivia people. Like stumping Julie is like friggin' the coolest thing in the whole world. Okay, number 15. Which Stephen King short story follows a surgeon stranded on a tiny island who slowly resorts to eating parts of his own body?
That's Survivor Type. And actually, when I was at King Con, which is a Stephen King convention I went to 2 years ago in Las Vegas. So the Dollar Baby contract has a very, very stringent thing where you're not allowed to show it in public and you're not allowed to make money for it. But at this convention, they were screening a bunch of these Dollar Baby films. So like, it's really the only way that you get to see these films because they're not publicly available. There's another King Kong coming up in October in Atlantic City. Will they be showing them again? And so Survivor Type is one of the movies because the Dollar Baby not every single story is available with the Dollar Baby contract. There's like 15 stories that you can apply for. And actually, I know what you need I know what you need was not on the list. So when I sent it in, I didn't know what they were going to do with it. And they just sent me a contract right back. But Survivor Type is one of the ones that is on the list that you can adapt. And the thing that's really cool about it is I think I saw 2 or 3 versions of it at that convention. So I think that the adaptation for me is so interesting because the adaptation that I want the story on the screen, right? I want it as much as possible to be exactly what was written because for me, Stephen King's a genius and he knows what he's doing better than I do. So why would I change anything? But not everybody sees adaptation that way. And that's totally cool because you can do whatever you want with it. But I think seeing the same story through different people's lenses is what makes it interesting to me. And I think that's why Stephen King still has people send copies of his work. Because like the version of I Know What You Need in his head is not the version of I Know What You Need in my head. Because I read about Edward, creepy boy in the middle in the beginning. And I'm like, woo. And you're like, it's not what the story is. And you're like, but it is to me. And like, I'm going to give you the version that I have.
Yeah.
There you go.
The Dollar Baby it's so incredible, and I never knew that there was only a handful of stories you could choose from.
Yeah, and really, it's so nice of him to do it because he knows if you adapt, like if you send it into a film festival, like, oh, it's adapted from a Stephen King story, you're going to get more eyes on it. And that's kind of the favor that he's doing you, which is why he doesn't allow you to make money off it, which I think is fair enough. Because like, he doesn't want you to make money off of his names, but he'll help you get a leg up in the door if that's what he can do for you. And to do the program for so long, to help so many filmmakers, and then to, again, want to see them all. I think that's the coolest bit about it.
Yeah, I agree. It's so generous. It's so generous, and it's so and also it's just amazing that you got to I don't know, be a part of this and being such a huge fan, and also make such a great film.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I tried my, I felt the pressure, right? I'm like, Stephen King will see this, but and that's why, because the limit time wise is 45 minutes or under. And I was like, I'm going to make the limit because I want to make the film that I want to make, that I want him to see, that I will feel proud of.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
All right, this is lightning round. Typically, our lightning rounds are 9 questions, but this one is 5.
Okay.
So I'm going to name a Stephen King work. I'm sorry. You're going to name the Stephen King work from this clue. So I'm going to give you a clue, and you're going to tell me what Stephen King short story, novel, whatever this is. And apologize if I'm going to name some characters' names, and I don't know if I'm going to say them wrong. So I forgot to look up how to say some of these names. Right.
Okay.
Roland Deschain.
Yeah, the gunslinger. He's the lead character in the Dark Tower series. I'm a Dark Tower junkie. I have read it many times. It is incredible. And the reason that I've read everything Stephen King's written, and the reason is because when I started to read the Dark Tower series, I realized that a lot of his books are connected. And so I wanted to hang back, read everything connected, and then come back so I could have like the full experience of everything. But I didn't really realize that like everything is connected. So I had to read like the whole shebang to get back to the Dark Tower series and read it and fall in love with it as I have. So he calls it his masterwork, and I agree.
Yeah. I love that. Number 17, Ben Mears.
He is the protagonist, the very milquetoast vanilla protagonist in Salem's Lot.
Yes. All right, number 18. Jesse Burlingame spends most of a Stephen King novel handcuffed to what piece of furniture?
A bed. I read Gerald's Game pretty soon after I read like It and Pet Sematary. But you have to remember I was 12, right? And this is a story, it's a pretty intense, pretty adult story, right? And I read it and I was like, I think I'm just a little bit too young for this one. I think I'll try this one again when I'm grown up, and maybe I'll like it better. And then I read it as grown up, and I was like, no, still don't really like. The premise is incredible, but not one of my faves. Oh. It's a lightning round. I know I'm supposed to be just answering and going, but here we are.
No,
you're getting it whether you like it or not.
I want the
tidbits.
I want the tidbits. No, lightning round doesn't mean the 2 seconds. It's just a matter of me just saying certain things. Okay, so number 19.
Which is the magic number in Stephen King, by the way, 19.
Oh.
From the Dark Tower series.
Oh, okay. Alan Pangborn.
He's in multiple novels, so I don't know which one you have on you, but I'm saying Needful Things.
That's the answer I have, and I will also accept another one, which
is you will.
The Dark Half.
Yes.
That's what I'm also. But yeah, I love that you got the right out of the gate Needful Things. Okay, last one in this round. Leland Gaunt opens what kind of business in Castle Rock?
So ostensibly it's like an antique business, but it's basically like selling you the one thing that will corrupt your soul the best. Like the thing. And it's interesting to read it and be like, what would get me? Like, what could they have to be like, Julia, you put these glasses on and now you're in 1964 with the Beatles in Hamburg. And like, you would like, you would just like, just dissolve into this thing. Because I think the interesting about that movie, or I'm sorry, that story is everybody has a selling point. Everybody has something that you could try to sell them that would take them down. And I think that's cool. And Stephen King also does very well where like, there's so many people in the town and everybody's going through something crazy at the last second at the very end and just like going from person to person to person. Really cool.
I should read this story. That's a good thing to think about. What would be the thing that would take me down? Mm-hmm. I'm sure, you're right. It's just, there's always somebody, just like I mentioned, I know you're not a fan of Disclosure Day, but we were talking about Disclosure Day, how there's this one sequence where they essentially, the aliens like disarm you, but based on there's got to be the one person in your life that's going to disarm you. Everybody has that person. So I thought that was really impactful. Okay. So you're doing really great. 5 more questions, bonus round. This is the round that always gets everybody. Okay. Well, we'll see. It's real Stephen King or not. So tell me whether each of these is a real Stephen King title or a fake Stephen King title.
Okay.
Real or fake? That's the answer. Rage. Real or
Real.
fake?
Real. I love that
Yes.
novel. I know it's taboo now, but it's a fantastic novel.
I love her a second ago. You're like, ready. And you just felt like you were on like one of those Who Wants to Be a Millionaire game shows. Like
I have won 3 game shows in my lifetime. Thank you very much. So when I lock in,
you were so locked in.
Yeah.
I love seeing people locked in for the Becky challenge. This is a serious thing. Okay.
It is.
22. Ready? Let me give you the clue. The gingerbread girl, real or fake?
Real.
Yeah, you don't even hesitate. Badass. Okay, 23. I keep thinking I'm saying 23 and you think that's the clue. It's the 23rd question. The Last Campfire, real or fake?
Fake?
That is fake. 2 more.
Okay.
The Moving Finger, real or fake?
Real. That story's nasty.
Is it?
Yeah. It's a finger like coming out of a drain and it's all like coming for you.
Okay, last one. The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon.
Oh, that's real too. That's a cool one. That's a cool one. And there's actually, I think there's a 3D like pop-up book version of that one.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. First of all, I think you're the first person that didn't have the bonus round take you down. So, so many people get dinged with bonus. You got 100% right in the bonus round, which is already in itself.
Yeah, but I already missed 3. So
yeah,
like,
you missed 3. So let's see. So that means you got 22 right. And let me give you the scorecard. Ready? So we'll see what you scored. Okay, rankings. 0 to 5, haunted house guest. 6 to 10, Castle Rock resident. 11 to 15, dairy survivor. 16 to 20, gunslinger. 21 to 25, constant reader. You got constant reader. Whee! Congratulations, Julia. This was the hardest, I think, challenge I ever put together. And the fact that I stumped Miss Julia Marchese on Stephen King, where she won freaking trivia by herself on a night where everybody else had 6 people to a team.
Yes, but this is what I was saying earlier. Amazing. It's like everybody has their good spots and their weak spots, right? There are certain novels or films that you naturally, that you love and some that you don't. So it just depends on which books stick in your mind more than anything.
Yeah, exactly. I think that it's funny because I one of my friends, I'm going on podcast in a week or so to talk about Terminator 2. And the host was my friend Sky's hosting. And he's like, maybe I would give you a taste of your own medicine and give you a Becky challenge. And he's like on Terminator 2, but I don't think there's not enough time. But I think I would I'm sure I wouldn't, there's no way. Cause it's like, there's always something that obscure thing that maybe you just like don't know, a lot about this, or if you ask me about this. And same with Ingmar Bergman. I don't know if I would get a perfect score on him. I feel like I know him better than a lot of people, but I still probably wouldn't get a perfect score. And actually, so no one to date has gotten a perfect score. Okay. So that's still to be achieved. And I'm sure, Julia, we will have you back. We actually, I think, are going to have you back at some point. I don't know if you've talked about which one it is, but I think in the future, I want to do some sort of game where I give you horror movie tropes and like final girls and something like that. I think that would be really fun. But thank you for participating in the Becky Challenge and being obviously you're a constant reader. And I think it's what brought you down was these short story, like naming a short story collection. So thank you for coming on, and can you tell like folks where to find you?
Of course. So I am Julia C. Marchese on all of the platforms. I am always on there talking about movies, so come on and join the fun. So I have 3 podcasts. I have Horror Movie Survival Guide, which is we just turned 9 years old. We're about to hit 500 episodes, so very excited about that.
Oh my God, it's 500?
Almost. Yeah, we're getting up there in a few months. Yeah. And then I'm on the Losers Club. If you want to hear me talk more about Stephen King, we're going through this year and ranking all of his novels from 1 to 66 to number 1. And then I have a 3rd podcast called Jodorowsky, which is all about Alejandro Jodorowsky and his works. If you want to see my film out of print, it's streaming. And then I Know What You Need, you would need to message me if you want to see it.
Yeah. And if you check your site, you can also see if it's playing anywhere near you too.
Yeah.
It's playing all over the place. Even in London.
Yeah. It's a 10th anniversary re-release where it's playing theatrically that I've done myself, grassroots, and getting it out there. It's playing at the exact kind of cinemas it should be playing at, all the cool art house places around the world.
It's amazing. We're so lucky to have you on the show, and you're my first female guest, which is also a landmark thing as well. And then also, I am so lucky to have Julia as a friend, and I am so proud to have you on my podcast and introduce. If you didn't know Julia already, then I got to
Hello.
gift her to you, and hopefully you'll follow her off in all these other podcasts that she does, and additionally see her work. She's one of the best female directors out there.
Thank you, my love.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much. And I hope you guys had a good time. And with Evil Dead Burn,
Let us know what you think. I'd like to hear
yeah.
other people's thoughts. And if you loved it, I'd love to know why and what you think about it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we'd be really interested to know. And I'm sorry we were fair.
Honest.
All right. Well, and next week we are going to have we will be back with Odyssey with John Lobinger. John
Sweet.
Lobinger was my co-host on the Director's Take. He's my favorite podcaster in the whole world. And I'm so excited to reunite with him on my show. And he's like a history, not like he's a trivia buff. So I'm going to do some sort of crazy trivia for him. And then if you want to follow us, we're on Hanging with Becky on Instagram and Blue Sky, and Hang with Becky on Letterboxd and Twitter. And you can also email us at hangingwithbecky@gmail.com if you have any questions. And then please subscribe if you're a YouTube watcher. Subscribe to the channel. We love it. Leave a review if you're listening on Apple or Spotify. We'd love to get a 5-star review. Or an actual real review would be amazing too. It helps folks find our podcast. But until next week, when we come back with the Odyssey and John Lopinger, go to the movies.